Howdy, partner. Welcome to one of the most northern parts of the United States of America. Travel with me upriver as we talk to a bunch of ladies and fellers and they share their tales of wit and wisdom. That's right, it's time again for Skagit Storytellers with Liz Rankin.
That's funny.
Don't worry.
Yeah, it's all
They're
good.
clean. See?
Sweet.
Got receipts. Right?
All right. You don't have to wear headphones, but I personally like wearing them. Anyway, I think it sounds better. And then I have your mic on, and so you can sit closer, or you could even like put it on that. And apparently you're a musician, so you know way more about this than I do.
I don't know.
I can't believe you're hiding that from me.
Aren't we all just kind of figuring things out?
No, you have a Bandcamp page, and it's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Did you? Oh, shut up. It's good. Did you write me from Instagram hoping that or you like, oh, she'll see the link to my Bandcamp?
No,
or do you like forget about it?
I never think about that.
You're like, I'm a farmer now.
I don't write music for anything except for just like getting it out there, getting my feelings out on paper.
So you're not shoveling the pig poop and like humming thinking like, oh, this is going to be a new track.
No, I'm shoveling pig poop and thinking this is going to be a new track. I definitely am. I spend a lot of time actually writing music for other people.
Really?
Yeah.
So do you still do that?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
But the stuff that you see from me,
yeah,
it's just, I don't care. Like it's timeline stuff. It's like, this is how I felt at this time in my life. I want to make sure that everybody remembers that this is how I felt at this time in my life.
It's kind of like a tattoo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which happens to be something that I'm not into.
You don't have any tattoos?
Not a single tattoo. You know what? You just gave me the understanding of what music is to me. Music is the tattoos in my life.
It's an audio tattoo.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like
definitely.
that.
That's
cool.
it. Yeah.
This is my new tattoo. I just got it on Monday.
dig
You
that.
won't know in December who you'll be in July.
Ah.
Because I started this podcast in December, and holy cow, look at how far it's come. And I got this on July 31st. And I always like that idea that, your life can change significantly. It can change overnight, but, with hard work, like, you can just be a different person in 8 months. And I just love that idea. And so I've always thought that tattoo would be kind of cool. The lyrics, it's to a song. And then I was leading up to July, and I was thinking about my new tattoo I wanted to get. And I was like, wait, this is perfect.
Whose song is it, by the way? Weird thing.
There's
I
an
hardly
artist-
listen to music.
There's an artist called The Suitcase Junket. And I think he does all the instruments himself. And yeah, it's an album called Make Time. And it's a great album. But yeah, the song So No, the second line, he sings, you won't know in December who you'll be in July. And that, as soon as I heard that lyric, most of my tattoos are lyrics. As soon as I heard that lyric, I was like, that's going to be a tattoo one day.
That's dope. If I was going to ever get tattoos of lyrics, it would definitely be everything that John Mayer's ever said.
Really?
Yeah, he writes the story of my life.
So honestly, I think when I think of John Mayer, I think that the only thing that comes in my mind is this typewriting documentary I saw. I think it was called California Typewriter, and Tom Hanks is in it. And I think John Mayer was in it because he types out lyrics on a typewriter.
Oh,
Yeah.
learned something about him I didn't know.
Yeah, and I don't intentionally avoid his music. I just don't listen to it. Like I asked a friend who's really into music today about REM, and he goes, I don't know any REM. How could you not know any REM? He's like, some bands you just never listen to, not intentionally, but
I get that.
Anyway, so
How's the sandwich?
I'm gonna eat it while you're telling your story. I'm starving right now. No, but I was gonna say I always like to start out these podcasts with explaining how we met. I must have met you at John's house. That must have been like the first time I met you.
I don't know.
I heard about you because CJ met you first.
Probably.
And he's like, John's new neighbor went to school with Kelsey.
Yep.
And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Cool. Like, local guy. Well, not really, because then he went to New York, and I was like, okay. And so is he a farmer? Nope. He's like us. He's new to all this stuff. And
Except I'm a 5th generation farmer.
You are. Yeah. See, I didn't know that. All I know is the one thing that we have in common is both of us weren't born here.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, both of us weren't born here.
Yeah.
I didn't know that you weren't born here.
I'm trying to think.
Where are you from?
Is there anything you could probably guess?
No.
There's nothing.
I'm terrible at guessing.
Is there nothing in here that indicates where I'm from? This makes me so sad, actually. I'm looking at my studio.
And realizing that you are American as it all gets.
I'm Canadian.
You talking about? Okay.
I'm like, isn't there a flag somewhere here? I don't know. Well, in our backyard,
we were born here.
In Canada.
You were born here.
In Canada. North America.
A stone's throw away.
So when you say that, that reminds me of whenever, like when I first moved here, I'm in the valley, say I'm like standing in Burlington, and I'll ask someone, oh, where are you from? Are you from here? They go, oh, no. I'm from Mount Vernon. And I'll laugh hysterically and I'll go, you're from here because I'm from Canada. And you just did the same thing to me.
Exactly.
I love this.
I was born in Zimbabwe.
Okay.
I was born in a town called Mutare.
While you tell the story, I'm going to back up and eat my
a
sandwich.
sandwich.
So go ahead.
Eat a sandwich.
Go. And really quick, how old are you? When were you born?
I don't know right now. What age are you if you're born in 1985?
Oh my
right
gosh,
now?
you're so young.
Because I'm going between.
You're 38?
I keep telling people I'm 36, turning 37, but I think I'm 37, turning 38, and now you just told me that I'm 38. I'm not sure. October 26th. Am I turning 38 or am I turning 37?
You're turning 38.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm 37.
You're so young. Okay. So you're 37.
Am I so young?
I'm 43. So.
You don't get, if it's not a decade difference,
I know.
You shouldn't get to say you're so young.
Okay.
I feel as it happened, but I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay. So.
By the way, anything different about me?
You shaved your head.
Heck yes, I did. Heck yes, I did. Once upon a time.
I know. I want to get into
3
why
days
you shaved
ago.
your dreads off, all that stuff. But we'll start with, okay, so you were born in Zimbabwe in a small town. Mm-hmm. All right. We have 2 hours.
In
Go.
a small town.
No, you said we're not going to talk about music. No. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, born in Mutare, raised in Bulawayo. Was there until I was 9 years old. My mother and father saw that the economy in Zimbabwe was getting ready to turn to trash, and they were like, you know what? Let's get out of here. At least that's the story I was told. And, of course, they were supposed to join one another, but that never happened. So came here. First place that I got to was Seattle. Lived in Seattle on Orcas.
And how old were you?
9.
With your mom or your dad?
With my mom.
Got it. Okay.
I was 9 with my mom and my sister. You know, in my head, the story is I got off the plane and was introduced to this other man. Like, hey, here's your new dad. Don't really remember in all of the trauma of it all, but yeah, grew up in Seattle. Came to Seattle, and it was where I was living in a family with family that were very musical, and that was my first experience of like being musical. Before that, I'd always been an artist. Everything about me was like drawing. I can to this day I can sit here and take a piece of paper and draw exactly what you look like. What's crazy is I can't draw anything out of imagination. I can't just like think of something. I have to see it, but I can draw it. So coming to Seattle and being introduced into my mother's side of the family, who were very musical people, and this part of my family, which was in any case, a very musical background experience in that space. And that's what led me into the whole story about, or the conversation around music. In Seattle was, weirdly enough, too smart for my own good. So when you come, of course, in Africa, it's the metric system, and there's certain things that you learn.
And Canada.
And Canada.
And the rest of the world.
And the rest
Except
of the
for,
world.
I think it's 3 countries total.
Yeah. So it's like, I got here and I'm like, the stuff that I'm learning in the grade that I'm in, I'm like, I learned this a long time ago. So I started getting into trouble. And I'm just like, this is simple. School was never a problem. Life, all of the options and the choices that had all of a sudden arrived into my palm were like, I can learn these things quicker and have more fun with them. Mom's like, hey, man, yeah, you're not a school issue, but you are a streets issue. Like, you've got that. So let's get further away from. First, she noticed the city wasn't the place to be. So we moved to Linwood. Montlake Terrace, actually. Montlake Terrace. And Montlake Terrace was fun. Learned that battleground really quick.
So you went to high school there?
Middle school and high school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, middle school and high school. She was like, let's get out of there, out of Seattle when I was like sixth grade. Sixth grade. She was like, this isn't going to work.
Did you have siblings too?
Yeah, just my baby sister.
Okay. So how old was she then when you guys went to Linwood?
We went to Linwood. She couldn't.
Or was she kind of more worried for you in general?
When I was,
Okay.
just me. When we came here, I was 9. She was 4. When we moved to Seattle, when we moved to Linwood, I think I'm 13, makes her something.
It was probably a good move for her, but in general, your mom sort of made that choice.
Yeah.
For you.
Yeah. She well, in the story that I'm told.
Yes.
Right. So who knows? who at the end of the day, it really could have been the same scenario as to maybe why I make the choices that I make when I look at the fact that I moved from Marysville looking at like, hey, this is getting expensive. Let me go ahead and get out of here. This is getting crowded. Let me get out of here. She could have been making those choices in her head, but when she turns around and tells me to give me the value of or purpose of why are we blowing up my life? I'm having so much fun running the streets. Like, hey, I'm doing this for you.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
so
yeah.
I can, it's interesting as you get older, the dynamic of like perspective around, you hear what is told to you, then you experience something similar, then you're like, maybe that person was actually doing it out of this or something similar too. Moved to Linwood, moved to Montlake Terrace, moved to Linwood essentially then moved to Lake Stevens. Mm-hmm. I moved to Lake Stevens actually.
Like you were 18?
No.
Oh.
What was I? 17?
Okay.
I moved to Lake Stevens. My mother moved to Marysville. I didn't want to move to a school in Marysville. I had known some friends that were in Lake Stevens. I convinced one of my friends' mothers to let me live with them.
Oh.
Low-key pimp, but... yeah, convinced, that's a thing. That happened. I did that. Convinced her to move in with them.
Wait, now
so
that you
I can
have kids, though, like, could you picture one of, like, let's say when Anthony's older, could you picture one of his friends saying, hey, I really want to go to school in Woolley. Can I live with you guys? Would you say yes?
Yeah.
Okay, just make it.
I can
just
see
asking.
that.
Yeah,
I can see that. I've got a crap ton of room.
Yeah.
And depending on the kid's scenario, the circumstance, like, totally.
Yeah, okay.
Like, skipped a ton of stuff. So... there was already this scenario in my relationship with my mother. So like when I was,
so you didn't graduate from Montlake Terrace?
No.
Oh, because then you moved. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, there was already this scenario where like even in Linwood, she was like, "You're still doing too much." She changed the door locks on me, and I was like a homeless kid. Like, she wouldn't let me in. African parents are like, they don't play.
Okay.
So one of my friends was like, hey, I'll take you in, or my parents are down for you to come. And I lived with my brother. I call him my brother, Eric. From what? Most of my junior year and the first part of my senior year, before me and my mother reconciled, and she was like, I'm moving to Marysville. Will you move with me? And before I decided to move to Marysville with her, well, before the administrators found out that I was thinking about the address thing, they were like, all right, you gotta go. But I tried Lake Stevens. Lake Stevens found out that wasn't a thing, and then I was sent to Lakewood, which is where I graduated from.
Okay, and
It's Smoky
where's
Point.
Lakewood?
Smoky
Smoky Point. Okay, okay, got it. And then did you go to New York right after that?
Right after the summer of graduation, yeah.
Because
I wanted to go to school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so where'd you go to school there?
I wanted to go to school in New York. Where did I go to school? I didn't go to school. I just lived.
Yeah.
I just lived.
For how many years?
3.5.
Yeah.
3.5 years. I just lived.
So then what did you do for work there?
What did I do? I worked for American Eagle. So
Okay.
I was working in
A model?
So,
I was kind of joking, but that's cool.
So yeah, so the American Eagle that used to be, I don't even know if it's still there, but the American Eagle that was in the Empire State Building, essentially what they hired was pretty people or beautiful people to not only sell you clothes, but then also they would have like corporate functions upstairs and you would model their stuff and things like
Oh.
that. So when you say it, I'm like, yeah, but a little bit of both,
That's awesome.
So, the reason why I went to New York was one of my cousins was like, "Hey, man, I'm really about to chase this music thing because that's his. He's in a musical family and he's doing really well for himself now in music. And he was like, let's do this. He was like, you got the talent too. And I'm like, I can sing, but it doesn't matter to me that I can.
So you
sing.
didn't have the drive.
Never have had the drive to.
Yeah.
I think the drive to make it in music, I think, lasted about 2 years, and that was maybe about a decade ago.
Okay.
And that drive was still even it was still even just like, I've got the space to be self-expressive. How do I want to express myself? Music. It wasn't like, let's get this thing going, let's get famous.
Yeah, let's make some money.
Never been
Yeah.
that. Never been that.
So is your cousin still doing music?
Yeah. He writes for a lot of TV shows.
Oh, cool.
He has like tons and tons of placements on TV shows. That's his bread and butter. He's got a couple albums out. He's really, really bubbling at this point.
Yeah. Can you name drop him?
His name is Draze, which isn't
Draze. Okay.
All
right.
And his father was one of the most influential Zimbabwean musicians on earth.
Really?
Ever. Yeah. His name was Dumisani Maraire, and he is Dumisani Maraire Jr. His sister, Chiwoniso, was one of the most influential Zimbabwean musicians in history. These are silly names, not silly names, excuse me, but these are names that you might not know, but if a Zimbabwean listens to this, they're like, oh, shit. Okay.
Well, my thing too is when I hear a name in my head, I always try to spell it, and I'm like, oh, that's gonna take some work.
Yeah.
So you went to New York, and you wanted to, or the idea was to sort of do music with him.
Yeah, the idea was to do music with him, and he's always kind of been my like cheerleader in music. He's like, you can do this. Like, he has me right now on one of his on the first single that he put out for his album. Was a song called Born to Win, and he's like, I'm gonna make you do it. I'm like, okay. And the song is like going places, and I'm just like,
oh, cool.
Yeah. All right. Like, for example, like last month I think we opened for Sauti Sol. I don't know if you know who Sauti Sol is, but
No.
a huge African group. But anyways, yeah,
Cool.
we're in New York. I got to express myself. Working was easy to find. I don't know. I've never had an issue with working. I think my strength is I'm a hard worker. I can work. Had a band out there. Found my first person that I asked to marry me out there.
The first of how many?
Two.
You're making it seem like
Wait
you're
a
hitting
second.
double
Two.
digits.
No, soon to be 3.
We're not doing body count.
Soon to be three. But yeah, I'm an open book. I'm honest.
So you're there for 5 years, but because on
3.5.
Okay, so on your Bandcamp, like you had on the EP, you had mentioned working with a bunch of Seattle artists. So did you not record out there? Like, did you come back to Seattle?
Yeah, no. So like, what I did in New York was write a bunch of songs that nobody's ever heard.
Okay.
I had a group that we used to play in like little dive bars and things like that, and we were underage with fake IDs, just hanging out. Or things like we would play in subways. The things you see now.
Yeah.
And I would suppose you saw in any time you go to New York. There's always that little band out there at the end at the exit doing something. That was us. We were playing for subway money. So we can go eat a sandwich. Had a lot of luck there. Found this older lady who was like, hey, have this other half of my apartment.
Wow.
I'm for a very, very low price.
Yeah.
And I think it was just more so companionship. I think she told me something about like she lost her partner, and she was just like, you seem like a good kid. When we first got there, we lived with my cousin had set up this little situation where he wanted to. It was a small little space that me and him were sharing. Yeah. He quickly was like, I can't do this. He has a whole family, wife and a child, and I'm a kid then. And he's like, I think it was like 3-4 months in. He's like, I'm out.
Yeah,
I gotta go. I'm just like, I'm just getting started. This is gonna be great. I'll figure it out. Just so happened to find this lady who was like, hey, we could do this. Sure.
I love it.
So, yeah, got to kick it out there for a long time.
Nice.
Funny enough, spent like half a year walking around New York City barefoot.
Oh.
Yeah.
Intentional?
Intentional, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
During the winter or summer?
It was like spring, summer, almost close to fall type stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I don't know why I did that, and I don't know why I'm sharing it with you.
I love it.
That's a thing that happened.
I mean, did you just accidentally do it one day? Then you're like, oh, that was kind of cool.
No, I was like, if I have to describe myself in those times, and I think I'm getting back to that now.
Yeah.
I was a hippie. I was in love with like the idea of the stinky, worn out clothes. Like, the I wanted to be like the model at American Eagle who doesn't smell that great but looks so good that you're just like, hey, what's up? And that was me. Like,
I love it.
Sandals were a thing, and then I was just like, screw the sandals.
I love it.
Let's walk
like,
around
let's start
barefoot
this
for a
trend.
little bit. Yeah. It was weird.
And then you went back to Seattle, and then is that when you recorded?
When I came back, no, it's not when I recorded.
Okay.
When I came back, I had a fiance or girlfriend at the time, then turned fiance. Started working for some crazy debt collector company and doing weird stuff. It was real life.
Oh,
this is real life.
Like tracking people down?
Yeah, no,
What's
like
that word?
like hounding people on phone calls, like the calls that I ignore now.
Oh,
Oh,
how the tables have turned.
Yes, except that the calls that I ignore are not debt collection calls. Thankfully, the calls that I ignore are just like random. Hey, do you want to refinance? Do you want to sell your house? Do you want to? I'm like, thank you, no thanks. But moved back. Wasn't doing music at that point. I did a lot of music in New York. When I came back, it was nothing about music.
Were you just kind of burnt out on that, or what do you think?
No, I think I cared more about money.
Oh, okay.
I cared more about working. I cared more about this woman that I was with at the time. I cared more about everything else under the sun.
Just supporting her.
Just supporting me.
Okay.
At the end of the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I cared about.
Yeah.
Music for me was like, I'd gotten my feel there. And that is a phase. That is a cycle that I noticed.
I was just going to say, so after you we're in that phase of like, okay, I'm going to make money, and you must have got burnt out at some point.
Did I get burnt out? I don't know if I got burnt out because I'm still that same money hungry person. The one, like I said, the other part, the part that's consistent for me is I work hard.
Yeah.
I'll work hard. That part, I'll deal with it.
Yeah.
The things that are cycles for me I've noticed music seasons.
Okay.
So New York was a music season. After my girlfriend at the time, fiance at the time, was like, I'm from New York. I'm going to New York. I ain't coming back. I'm not staying in Seattle. Peace. Music season then kind of started to bubble back up. And then when I met my ex-wife, we had so much that I had the free and leeway to then open back up music season. That's when that album was written, Keeping Up Appearances, which is coincidentally a British comedy sitcom.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, and
yeah.
I love it. So.
And you had, because there was a song dedicated to your daughter?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how old was she when you wrote that song?
When, what was that? Maybe 6 months?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
6 months. Yeah, Tree Trunk Thighs. She was 6 to like 9 months. When, you know how
that lyric
when
stood
babies
out.
are like, when babies are just super chubby, they got rolls on rolls. Yeah.
Because how old is she now?
She is 9.
Oh, okay.
She is 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I've met her yet.
No, you haven't.
She's been up here a little bit, but
No.
No? Okay, I thought she was. Okay.
No.
Okay.
Man, you don't know the life I've lived. The life I'm living. The way I say it is, I live and I love. The rest of the story still being written.
Yeah.
But that's a tough one. That's a tough subject.
Etta?
But yeah, she hasn't been up here. She actually lives in Mexico
Oh, okay.
with her mama. Yeah.
Yeah. So then you were in Seattle doing that EP, and then after you released it, like, did you tour a bunch or play shows?
No.
Just release it and forget it.
No.
It's like fishing, catch and release.
I did a crap ton of stuff with that album.
I did get Born. Was it Born for Greatness?
Yeah.
It does get stuck in my head. It's good.
Thanks.
Yeah,
thanks.
you're welcome.
I did a lot of traveling around the state. I did some tours. Performed at the Kennedy Center, in DC.
Oh, cool.
Did some shows in New York. Went back to New York. Visited around Philadelphia, California. Places like that. But after doing all of that music, I was just like, there was a day I woke up and was like, I'm over it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that was
The cycle
fun.
was complete.
I was like, that's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't. And then I've written a ton of music that I'm sitting on.
Yeah. The lyrics or the music?
The lyrics.
Okay,
The lyrics and the music, actually.
Well, I was going to say, I just feel like if you just write the lyrics, that's poetry, isn't it?
The lyrics and the music.
Okay.
So literally, yeah, the guitar parts, which reminds me, I forgot to bring my mbira. I wanted to bring my mbira.
And what is that?
It's a thumb piano from Zimbabwe.
A thumb piano?
Remember, we were talking. I was like, oh, I'm going to bring something so unique.
Okay.
It's literally what the piano's roots are.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's cool.
It's called mbira.
Yeah. And so you play the guitar. What other instruments do you play?
I fool around on a piano. I play a guitar. I play mbira. I play a marimba, which is the xylophone.
My nieces play that in Canada.
Yeah.
They went to is it marimba? Am I pronouncing it?
Yep.
They went to marimba camp, and then like the news picked it up, and my nieces are like playing on the news.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was really cool.
So-
I had never heard of that instrument.
So here's the crazy part. The guy I was talking to you about, Dumisan Maraire, he brought those instruments to North America. They hadn't existed.
What?
They hadn't been known as instruments until he came and brought them here.
Wow.
So yeah,
That's incredible.
I'm a part of an extended of a piece of family that did that.
Wow.
And that's the part that was like cheering me on in music. I found, oh crap, I do have a talent in music, but it
Yeah.
was never like my thing.
Yeah. That's really cool.
The only child that knows that I'm a musician is, I guess, my first 3 kids, they all know that I'm a musician.
Yeah.
But Anthony doesn't know anything about my music.
Because you're just not in that phase right now.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I get, I suppose he probably hears his mom plays my music. So like she has my music on her phone. I've walked in the house before and she's cooking and I'm on the phone.
Aw.
And she's playing me. So
That's sweet.
I guess he hears it in that sense. I don't even know if like he registers that it's me. I don't know if they have that conversation.
Yeah.
But for his experience in music, I have a Marantz that I'm obsessed with some nice, Yamahas that I'm obsessed with, and I play just tons and tons of records, just tons and tons of old music, always blasting in the house. It's a way that I try to teach him Shona. I play a lot of YouTube music. So there's tons of YouTube channel music that I'm always streaming on our TV, and he sings along to, voices like Ja Preza, voices like Nutty-O, voices like Winky D, people that you were like, I have no idea who these are, but these are big names in Zimbabwean music.
Okay, I was just going to say, yeah.
So, that's how I try to teach my children Shona, our language. And so
the language in Zimbabwe is called Shona?
The languages in Zimbabwe are amongst Shona is a umbrella that then has tons and tons of dialects, and then the other half of the country, Ndebele, which has tons and tons of dialects. And so I can't say Shona is the language of Zimbabwe, but it's one of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we have like 32 official languages or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which one are you would you say you're officially fluent in?
Shona.
Yeah, okay.
Definitely.
I was just thinking, so that's Olive's pickle book down there that she wrote. Mm-hmm. And we'd always talked about getting it translated into Spanish because she's almost fluent in Spanish. Wouldn't that be cool if we got it translated into Shona? Could you do that?
I can do that.
That would be so cool.
That would be dope. Yeah.
How many kids' books are translated into Shona? That's cool.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
So you're not sitting him down and with a textbook like, okay, let's conjugate these verbs. That's how I learned French.
No.
You're putting music on.
I'm putting music on for him to have that experience,
and just he can absorb it.
Yeah, it wasn't even a thought as far as like how I don't know if you know how me and him and his mother came into each other's lives. But
I don't know. I was going to ask that next.
In the way that we came into each other's lives, he was already at a certain place, so it wasn't and he's already a certain type of person.
So how old was he when you met him?
I think it was 3.
Okay.
3, yeah.
Yeah, and where'd you meet Lydia?
At Lowe's.
Okay.
Lowe's, yeah. We were working together at Lowe's.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I did hear that.
I was hustling 4 jobs at that time, and Lowe's was one of them. You know the first thing I said to her?
What?
Will you marry me?
No, you didn't.
I swear. First thing I ever said.
Were you joking
to her.
or serious?
I was looking to get laid.
Okay.
But realistically, had seen enough to know that this was the kind of woman that I would want to explore being with. Mm-hmm. I'm not a sleep around kind of person. I'm a relationship dude. I've always been a relationship dude.
Yeah. And so you met in Mill Creek?
No, in Seattle.
Oh, in Seattle. Okay.
Yeah. At that point, my ex-wife had chose to leave me, and I was just working.
Fill your
4
time
jobs.
with work.
Yeah, filling my time with work. 4 jobs. I'm like literally filling my time with work, filling my time with work, and trying to pay for this process of separation, which is insanely expensive.
I've heard that.
I met her at Lowe's, and I just saw her walking down the lumber aisle, and she was like all the way across, and I'm just like, yeah, that's the one. And you know what she did? She was like, okay, you want to come hang out with me? She was like, you want to come hang out with me? I was like, yeah, I want to come hang out with you. She invites me out and takes me walking while it's snowing and it's freezing, and we walked for like 4 hours.
She testing you?
I didn't know that this lady does this all the time. I'm freezing my butt off. My toes are frozen. I'm just like, all right, I'm going to walk because, and she literally, this is who she is. Like every night.
Wow.
Yeah. She gets up and just walks.
That's cool.
She, even to this day, now in the daytime, she'll walk the trail all the way up and down it. And just, that's her thing.
That's cool.
But man, that first walk, I was like, dang, yeah. I really, really must. I really like this woman. Like, I'm gonna walk
awesome.
with her.
Yeah. And so you guys met in Seattle, and then at what point were you thinking, let's buy this house in Cedar Woolley and fix it up?
part of the disbelief or the disenchantment that led to my divorce was when I went to Zimbabwe in 2018, and for the
the first time going back?
For the first time since I was 9.
Oh wow. Why did you go back? Just felt like you needed to return.
I had like a ton of money and was like, if not now, when?
Yeah, not a cheap plane ticket.
Not at all a cheap plane ticket. And at the time, we were getting ready to buy a house in Mexico, and we're getting ready to move to Mexico. And I'm like, if we're doing all of this, I can afford to do this too.
Yeah.
And so, we had a business and things were going really, really great. So I was like, yeah, let me go home. When I went home and, I'm sitting there, I get to my farm, which was mind blowing. The fact that I walked on a piece of land and my dad's like, we've been waiting for you. Here's the title deed.
What?
My grandfather left it to me.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, 50
Wow.
hectares. So 100 and something, 20 something acres.
So this is the farm you grew up on?
No.
Okay.
No. I grew up visiting this farm, going
Okay.
to this farm
Yeah.
all the time up until I was 9.
Yeah.
And so he's like, this is yours, and here's the papers for it. And I was like, oh, what?
And you didn't know.
I had no. I'd known, it'd been told to me. Like, I used to speak to my dad very frequently. It had been told to me as I was getting older, and in that age, I started reaching out more and more to him. So we were getting closer and closer, and he was telling me like, yeah, there's things here that are yours that you need to take care of, and one day I'll be gone, and I'm here holding them. I'm just the placeholder, and I'm like, oh,
You're
whatever.
like, oh, they're heirlooms.
I'm like, whatever.
It's a bunch of tiny
whatever,
pianos.
whatever. And then when I get there, and my family is all telling me about how my grandmother predicted it, like that I would be there a year after she'd passed, and it was literally a year after she passed. I didn't know. I'm like, what the all this?
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, I felt this calling of like, I'm like, oh, this is happening. So, learning the story more and more, the deeper story of what my family is. I was like, crap, yeah, we're farmers. Oh, no wonder to me, it was like, no wonder why I always loved to stick my hands in the dirt in my house on Beacon Hill. I'd build gardens, and who knows, those are normal things that people normally do. But I made it more like, you know what? That's it meant more to me.
Yeah.
To know, like, I connected those dots as like, oh, me sticking my hands in the dirt, me building these gardens, me doing all this stuff means it's connected to my ancestors and how they have been. And technically, it is.
Yeah.
So realizing that, I came back with the intent of, I want to farm.
So how long were you there for?
What? 2 months?
Okay. Yeah.
2 months. I was like, I want to farm. I came
Okay.
back. I'm like, wife, I know we made plans to buy this house in Mexico and have a business and move there and have a business here and there, but I want to farm too. She's like, you've lost your marbles. What? Okay.
You're crazy.
He's going off the rocker.
Yeah.
But at that moment, no one and nothing was ever going to convince me that I'm not going to have a farm. I
Okay.
want to be a farmer.
Okay.
So
she went to Mexico.
she moves to Mexico.
Got it.
I journey on. How would I put that? I moved to Marysville.
Okay.
COVID happens. In that space, I'm like, screw it. I'm just gonna pull the trigger,
Yeah.
buy a farm,
Yeah.
and
How long were you looking for? And like, were you looking for a particular acreage, or was there anything specific you looked for?
it's more. Now there's certain things I can't say because
Okay.
the federales might stop me.
Okay.
And the economy might crash because of what I say. So,
Okay.
the conviction was to be a farmer. Here's the space. When I first saw that house was a year before I bought it.
Okay.
And I said, if this house is still there a year from now, then it's meant for me.
Wow.
Literally, if you remember in those days, it's been 3 years now. So in 2020, that was a hot ass market.
Yeah.
Like shit wasn't. Shit wasn't sitting around for nothing.
Yeah.
That house sat around.
Yeah.
And people were scared. And I know people were scared of work. And I get it.
Yeah.
Because I'm working on that on that house.
Yeah.
But in that, all of it has been meaningful. The fact that I've had to learn how to replace my plumbing. Mm-hmm. I've had to learn how to redo decks. I've had to learn how to. There's so many things about that house. That house, whew, let me tell you. But as all of that is coming into fruition, I'm seeing like these are the tools that I'm going to need because this is practice. I have to remind myself this is practice.
Yeah.
So, one day I'm going to do even bigger, even crazier things.
I love that.
So.
Well, I remember when John and Brittany got the house and, walking around the property, and I remember walking down that road and going, oh, wait, there's a house right
back
here.
there.
So how does that work? Does someone just like drive by your house to go to their house? Okay. So what if some crazy we're just thinking like, oh gosh, this could go so wrong if someone that is not the right fit moves right there.
John actually thanks me all the time about that.
Does he?
Like, straight up. Like, I'll do something crazy. And he's like, it's cool, man. Thank you for who you are. I'm like, okay. He's like, this could have been way worse.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
It's unreal. I tell
Easements.
people again and again how I just love our little, like, triangle we have. It's so cool that the kids that we have, and they can just go back and forth, and they're all roughly the same age, and
run amok.
and even just like I think last summer it was like, oh, Johnny almost got his toe cut off because we were in, and all his toes were in this mud thing, and then we had the shovel, and I go, I love all of this.
I love all.
I love the word mud, shovel.
I was watching, and I probably can't. It's so far back now, probably in my history of videos on my Blink on my Blink cameras.
Oh yeah, like security, yeah, yeah.
All of them, running up onto the deck, knocking on the door, running away. So many times, I'm just like, no one's home, guys.
All the neighbors?
But I'm watching the kids play, and I'm just like, this is awesome. They just, they ran up. How many times they ran up to my front door, my back door, just knock. It's like, I'm not home.
All six
and
of the kids.
I'm like, I'm not home, and this is hilarious. This is great entertainment. I'm just
well, first
watching.
of all, you guys have a baby. You can't be knocking on the door.
Oh, this is before baby. So this is more
okay.
than 7 months ago, which is why I can't. Which he's 7 months old now, but
I love this place.
yeah, no,
then-
this is a vibe.
Yeah.
This whole area is a vibe. It's the risk that I took that I thought was worth taking, and it's proving itself to be the right call every single day.
Had you ever been up here before?
Yeah. We used to drive back and forth. We used to have a place on Guimas Island.
Oh, okay.
My son used to be with his mother and stepdad based in Oak Harbor on the military base. My foster parents are big tractor fans, so we used to go to the Linden Tractor Show, which is actually happening this weekend, which we'll be going to this weekend.
That's awesome.
So he's a tractor engine show. He's big on engines. He's got tons and tons of old giant engines, little engines, all these funny things.
Yeah.
So yeah, this area I was aware of, and I think that's part of it. Is like when I said it to my family or I said it to my friends, they're like, "What? You're crazy! Like, you sure? They're gonna kill you." I'm like, you don't know. It's not this scary, crazy place. Like, it's a real place with real people. People will say everything and anything that they want to when there's a barrier between you. But when there isn't a barrier, people are gonna treat you usually the right way.
Well, I was going to bring up July 4th. I don't know if you remember us talking on July 4th.
Man, I was lit.
You had a few drinks.
I was lit. Woo.
But I don't know if you remember our conversation.
That day was life-changing. I was having a good time.
Are we talking about the gate?
Oh, my God. You know about the gate? I took the gate down. I put the gate back up, too. Hold on. But
As
yeah,
long as you put it back up.
I took the gate down.
No, I don't
Man.
know if you remember our conversation. I mean, first of all,
Here and
you're making
there.
fun of me because my hip hurt, and you're like, shut up. We're not having a conversation anymore about anything. We need to talk about your hip. It should not hurt when I hit you. You were like hip bumping me, and you were hitting the bone, and you're like, Liz, that should not hurt. And I was like, it's fine. Let's talk about the podcast. You're like, no, this hip situation, because you're an instructor.
I'm a mover. I'm a mover. The body is important to me.
Yeah. So that was funny.
It took this long for us to get there. Wow. Yeah.
But no, what I love was we were standing there on the porch, on Amy's porch, and your family was there.
Yeah.
From, I guess they're from Seattle area.
That's why I was excited.
There's what, like 10 people?
Man, in the house there was like 30, 40 people.
Okay, but at Amy's house.
At Amy's house, yeah.
So there was 10 people there, and I think Amy had maybe 15 of us over, her family and like us and the neighbors, and you were looking out. The kids were just like, I'm so shocked no one lost any.
Running amok. Just running amok.
Smoke everywhere.
Everywhere.
Just grabbing fireworks and firecrackers and lighting them off everywhere, and it was crazy.
Yeah.
But you said something, I don't know if you remember this, but you were looking around and you go,
this is what it's about.
and you said, and I go, yeah, this is fun, fireworks. And you're like, no, like this would not have been possible like however many years ago. And I was like, what are you talking about? Because I'm an idiot. And then I was like, oh, wait. Okay. I just appreciated that moment. So
Yeah, those are the, like I said before, I'm on this journey and there are moments of confirmation. You know, I take a lot of risks. Moving to Cedar Woolley was a big risk. It could have went the opposite way.
Because when you said risk at first I thought, oh, you mean because the house was kind of in disarray? But then I thought, oh, what other risk? Did you mean another type of risk?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I drive down certain roads and, you know, sometimes there's a Confederate flag. It might not mean anything to anybody else. And generally speaking, it doesn't actually mean anything to me either. A flag ain't gonna hurt me. But it stands for something. And, you know, I have the purview of, hey, it could stand for I'm proud of something. It could stand for I hate you. Whatever. So there was that risk. But the confirmation is in the experience. So the confirmation is I've got community. A community that's like tight-knit. There's come on. I can go and ask CJ for anything. I can go ask anybody around here for anything. Tippy will give me Tippy will give me the shirt off his back.
Oh my gosh, I should have Tippy on here.
Ooh, that would be so fun.
Wouldn't that be hilarious?
Tip is the G. Tip. Oh my God.
I don't even. Yeah.
That would be wild. Yeah, like, you know. So, yeah, those things are small confirmations on the journey in the bigger picture. I'm a deeply spiritual person, so yeah, I went home last month. Or no, the month before.
The first time since 2018.
Yeah, first time since 2018. My grandmother, my 94-year-old grandmother, was inching closer to her end, and we went and had one last hurrah. We went and threw a party. We went and took all the pictures. I went and gave her all the kisses, all the hugs. Yeah, and then about a month to the day is she passed. So
What a great long life. 94.
Yeah, man. Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, she was complaining. She was like, I don't want to be here no more. She was over it. She was like, I don't want to be here no more. Yeah, it was, you know, it had been years since my grandpa died, and she was just like, I'm over this. I don't want to, like, legit. Like, I was like, okay. I've never seen this side, but I would suppose if people are going to be real, that is a thing. Like, you'd probably get to a certain age, and you're just like, fuck this, man.
I was going to say, it's hard because we're not going to know how that feels until we're 94. You know, like, oh, I get it now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. You're a new farmer.
I am.
How do you like those pigs?
Man, you know, pig farming's a trip. Farming's a trip.
They get out a lot, don't they?
They not anymore.
Okay.
We have gotten it down. I have got it down. My pigs are were the craziest pigs in the neighborhood, right? My pigs, I'd be at work and I'd get calls. Hey man, your pigs are in the trailer park. Your pigs
The
are just
trailer
walking.
park?
Yeah, oh, they were making
From
it.
Tippy?
They were making it all the way out here, just walking the neighborhood,
Down
eating people's
PB.
flowers. Just, I'm like, crap.
Well, just this one. I don't ever really watch Brittany and John's Animals, but one time I was feeding their pigs, and she told me how much to give them, and I walked out there, and I was like, it didn't seem like a lot of food. Maybe I'm crazy, and then I went, wait a minute. This isn't a lot of food for 4 pigs. Maybe she's trying to put them on. I don't do a diet. That sounds weird, but whatever. So I gave them that food plus a little bit more. And I mentioned to her after, she's like, we only have 2 pigs. I'm like, no, you have 4. And I checked the fence. I swear to God, I did not see any fence that was.
My pigs are professional break-in
They're
and
just
break-out
like digging
artists.
tunnels.
Were. I've invested. I finally got over it and was like, screw it. I'm gonna go buy hog panels. I'm gonna buy the real stuff. Get it in. Because
Is that
I
your
made
advice to new farmers? Like, just start with the hog panels.
Just start with the hog panels. Like, do it. Just
Yeah.
if you're not gonna invest in electric fencing, get yourself some hog panels.
Yeah.
Get over it. Save yourself the time. Because at that point, I was probably like $600 into crappy fencing, when I could have just saved my time and just spent the original and just been done. Like, yeah.
Our buddy Danny said, you have this idealistic version of what farming is, and he's like, you're just fixing fences and shoveling poop. That's it.
Yeah.
That's like 90% of it.
Fixing fences, shoveling poop.
Yeah.
And
you guys have chickens too, right?
chasing, yeah. Trying to convince the dog not to eat a chicken. Trying to keep the goats from walking into your house. Like,
They walk in your house?
Oh my gosh!
How many goats do you
I
have?
walked in the other day and a goat was in my house. I'm like, what are you doing?
How many goats do you guys have?
We're down to 2.
Okay.
We're down to 2. I've slaughtered 2.
Okay.
So we're down to
So you're
2.
raising them for meat?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Well, you told me that you were excited to get to know me, and I said, no, I'm not talking about myself. We're only talking about you.
Yeah.
Because whenever I talk on here, I always cut my voice out. But
Why
but
do
no,
you do that?
No, just because I don't want it to go more than an hour, and so I just want to get as much as the guest in. So, and I do an intro where I will say a bunch of stuff.
By the way, you have a really, really nice voice.
Do I?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That is some quality.
I appreciate it.
I can
I'm gonna put.
just cruise and listen.
I'm gonna put you on the spot.
What
Have
I
you
do.
heard any other episodes yet?
No,
Okay, that's okay.
I tried. I tried.
Well, if you like my voice, you should listen to the podcast.
I have so here's the thing. I think Stitch is somewhere in my cloud.
Yeah.
Um
I think I'm on stage.
you are on Stitch.
Am I? Okay.
Yes. What you are not on is
Apple. Okay.
And
you know,
I was like, well,
I will do that.
me and my 2 iPhones are cut out the deal.
I'll give you 20 minutes. Go ahead. Ask questions.
20 minutes. 20
I'll
minutes
give
of
you 20
asking
minutes
questions.
to ask me questions. There's
All right.
conversation cards here. You could ask me.
No. I don't need conversation cards. Don't worry. Don't worry.
God.
Don't worry. Don't worry.
I'm so embarrassed.
Don't worry. I want to know how you met CJ.
Oh, I think I've told this story on here. Although I think I've told the story and then I always cut it out. My friends were in a band. They weren't there yet. And there's no one else in the bar. It's just a foreigner bar that we all went to. It's called the Speakeasy, owned by 2 Canadians, and Mike and Dave. And then so a bunch of guys walked in, sat on the couch, and I'm not shy. I just walked over and I said, hey, can I just sit with you guys? There's no one else here. Oh, yeah. So I just learned all their names, and CJ sat beside me. And when you meet people overseas, and you might have experienced this, like meeting people around the world, but you always ask the same questions, especially if you're teaching, like, oh, so where are you from? Where else have you taught? And it's really surface. I was just in a mood that day. I was in a mood and I said, oh, your name's CJ from Seattle? Cool. Why are you here? And he's like, what? And I said, just cut the BS. Why are you here? And
Miss Friendly, can I sit with you guys?
I know. I wasn't even like, oh, he's cute. I was just like barely looking at him. Like, let's just cut to the story. Like, why are you here? I'd never asked anyone that. Been so forward. And he goes, you really want to know? And I said, yeah. And he said, I got cancer and I almost died. Okay. All right.
You guys cut through a whole lot of bullshit.
Well, this is 10 seconds in. 15 seconds in, I go, so what kind of cancer? And he goes, testicular. And I said, okay. He goes, yeah, they removed a ball. Just try. I'm going red, like for sure. And I go, okay. Take a sip of my beer, and he goes, still works, by the way. And I was wearing a low cut shirt, and I said, as long as you're being honest, these are real. And he goes, nice. And that was our first conversation. It was 1 minute.
Wow.
And that was that. We got married August 14th, 2010. And yeah, got my 2-year green card.
That's what I want.
Then I got my 10-year green card. And I'll get my 10-year again.
So you're still a Canadian.
Yeah.
How often do you go to Canada?
It just depends. A couple times a year. We're going up next week, which I need to talk to you because I need someone to watch my animals. But
I got you.
The only reason why we're going up, so CJ and Olive are very close. Like the whole daddy-daughter thing.
Yeah.
It's
a thing.
It's incredible.
It's
I
amazing.
am so thankful. They have like the cutest relationship. They go to Mariners games together. They watch all those nerd Marvel superhero movies together. She's into Star Wars because of him. Like all the nerd stuff, it's all them. And then sports is them. For the most part, me and her go running together. That's our thing. And then music and being creative. But so they're very, very close. When he goes away, day 3, she gets really sad. Like he went to Vegas for 5 days for softball, which I love. Like I love that he's really good. He's very into it. It was day 4. We're watching softball online, and there were some other teams there that we knew. And CJ's on the older end of the softball players, so they call him Dad. At one point, he had a great hit. All these guys start screaming. Guys we know we're friends with start screaming, "He's my dad!" Olive burst into tears. "He's my dad!" So I'm texting all the guys going, "You can't do that. We can hear you on the camera." Anyway, so he's going to Alaska for a week. He's going to hunt deer with his uncle and go fishing, like halibut fishing on the ocean.
That's awesome.
Which is amazing. So he's going to be gone for 8 days. And so I thought, okay, I want to distract this kid a little bit. So we're going to go to Canada and hang with my sisters and my dad. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. It's only 100 miles away, but the border, there's always waits. The ferry, there's waits. It's expensive. It takes the whole day to get there and a lot of money. So it's hard to go up a lot. So, yeah.
So you said you were teaching in South Korea, teaching in the Middle East.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, you are teaching?
Right now?
Right now.
Yeah, 2nd grade.
2nd grade.
Yeah.
What's that like? 'Cause,
I love it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You must.
Well, and so Anthony's 2nd grade?
Headed to. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And you're mentioning that his behavior's a little
out of control.
Yeah. So what happens is when I do parent-teacher conferences, I'll say, "Oh my gosh, your son is amazing. He is like listens so well. He's always offering to help." And the moms look at the kid and go, "What? You are not like that. Why are you like that here?" All the time. It happens all the time. So he'll probably be fine.
Thank you for the well wishes. This one's a different one.
You're like, I've done this before.
He's on a whole nother level. The running thing.
Yeah.
Like you and John. That's you guys' thing.
That's our thing, yeah.
Why? What are you running for?
It's really hard, and I like hard things. Like, did I tell you what I just did in July? The calendar run?
No.
Well, I didn't complete it, which is fine, because if I finished it, I should have chose something harder. Like, so that's how I think is like, I'm not choosing goals hard enough then.
So
if I finished
you
it.
guys just don't want knees.
My knees are
in
fine.
life.
Being fat is bad for your knees. Running is not bad for your knees. I don't want to talk about that. I get that a lot. No, here's the thing. My calendar run though, July 1st, I ran 1 mile. July 2nd.
Talk about the things you don't want to talk about.
It's back to the hip thing. July 2nd was 2 miles. July 3rd was 3 miles. All the way till my last day I ran was July 22nd. So I did 235 miles over 22 days. I didn't finish the rest of my calendar run. So July 31st, my plan was to run 31 miles that day and then go get this tattoo that I just got. But I stopped on day 23. I woke up. I inspected the blister I had on my heel. It's not a regular blister. That thing was going to get infected. And I had no time to heal. So I thought, okay, It's blisters, not working out. Day 22, I did 22 miles in Crocs.
Wow.
Because it wasn't touching my heel, my blister. So
do you know any old runners that I can research?
They're at ultra.
Because I want to gain a little more confidence around this running thing.
No, the ultra races, you'll see people in their 50s, 60s, and 70s at these races.
Oh, okay.
It's amazing. It's phenomenal. That's why I love it too. I just feel like I'm just beginning, and I can keep doing this. They're not fast. They're not winning. They're not like John.
They're just running.
Like,
yeah. Oh, yeah. John's
like
on a whole nother,
John. When people
level.
are like, "Oh my God, Liz, you're amazing," I'm like, "No, I attempted a 200 miler in May. I only made it 100 miles. I ran 30. I walked 70 miles on tons of blisters. John wins 100-mile races.
Right.
Like Whistler Alpine Meadows. It's the craziest elevation. I barely had any elevation in my race. So there's definitely different levels. But my friend Ryan had done the calendar run in April, and I said, that looks hard. I think I could pull it off in July. I'm going to try it. But just that consistency of doing something every day for 22 days was amazing.
So what's your goal around that? Like, is it just I'm running because it's hard? I like feeling blisters on my toes.
No, I don't like the blisters, but I like the fact that I make myself keep going despite, those little obstacles of blisters.
So it's kind of like a mental.
Oh, it's all
like
mental.
It's a therapy.
Yeah. And I just started my radio show not long ago. So what was cool was all I was doing the last, 3 weeks I was running was like just constantly listening to new playlists and radio. Oh, that's a radio song. I just keep adding to my radio playlist. So it was really nice to have that time to do that because I'm not fast. So it was taking me multiple hours to run. So, and I like it too because I don't know, like for someone who doesn't run a lot to look at what I do and go, wow, Liz did a lot. I could do a mile a day.
Hell no.
That's what I think is that someone will look at what I did and go, well, I can't do that, but maybe I could do this like small percentage. So I always think about like the inspiration factor, and Olive's watching me. And I just think that's really incredible that she sees all this stuff I'm doing. And I try to include her as much as I can. We're training for her second half marathon, the Bellingham Bay half at the end of September. Our goal is sub 3 hours. But even just like this, she helps me on this. When I host trivia, she had her own category last night. That was pretty cool. She's going to be on my radio show coming up. She's, yeah. So I do a lot of it for her. So my mom passed away when I was 23 and she was amazing. And she taught me so many amazing things. And I just think, who's going to teach all this stuff? Like, I don't want to wait till, oh, okay, you're 18 now. Let's teach you about life. So like ever since she was like 3, 4, I'm like, get your clothes out of the dryer. This is how you put them away, because I don't know, I could be gone. And I'm sure CJ would do a great job, but I don't know. I just, every day I just think of like how I can like pour into her and yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm hearing what shapes you, which is really, really cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's got to be hard. I'm spoiled to have my mother. Wow.
The latest podcast I just published was Heidi's, and Heidi's husband Ted had passed away 2 weeks before we recorded. She was very open online about Ted, and I thought, so I texted her and I said, do you want to be on my podcast? Do you want to talk about grief?
Yeah.
And she said, sure. And I said, look, we'll record. I'll give it to you. You can keep it. I can publish it. It doesn't matter. Whatever you want to do. So we recorded quite a few months ago. I was really nervous about editing it, and maybe I edited it in such a way that didn't honor Ted. And so I was really nervous. I sent it to her last week. She loved it. I just put it out. And I always do intros to my podcast. And I had to record the intro like 4 times because near the end, I shared how in the podcast with Heidi, she was sharing that her daughter, Ruby, I think she's early 20s. Ruby looked at Heidi, her mom, and said, I can't believe you have a dad and I don't. And so whenever I meet someone who's older than me and they still have a mom, I'm like, how is that possible? Yeah. Yeah. So, but I know people who have moms or dads who are horrible. They're terrible and they're stuck with them, and they raise them really poorly, or they're just constantly always in their life and it's not positive. And I had like a perfect mom for 23 years. She never said a bad word about anyone.
Yeah.
And I fail all the time, but I always think back to her and like what she would do.
How
and,
you remember it.
Well, and you talk about
'Cause
working.
she's human.
When you talk about working hard,
yeah,
that was my mom and my dad. My dad constantly works. He retired a few years ago, but
what does he do?
he worked at a mill for several years, 30 years or so. I worked there too when I was in college, and then he retired, and then he started doing handyman stuff. And he just like he paints, he does electrical work, he just handyman, just nonstop. And he's got some hip issues right now. Doesn't stop him. Just keeps going. And so I definitely got that hard work ethic from him and my mom. And like my mom would be working all day at the laundry factory, just industrial laundry place, just sweat, just like dripping. I mean, this weather, just humidity, just terrible. And we get home and she would grab the softball gear and we'd go play softball. She was our coach. She was the president of our softball league for 9 years.
Wow.
And my dad's like, Lou, don't go out like that, you know? She's like, what? Who cares? I don't care if anyone looks at me and thinks, like, who cares? If they do say something, so what? Like, she didn't care. She was just about the girls and softball. So that was really admirable, too. I tell that to Olive a lot. And
if I didn't have to go teach, we could do this all day because I genuinely enjoy talking to you.
This is awesome.
I didn't know that.
I love leaving this on a high note too. Do you know what I mean? Like always kind of like wanting more. I love that. And I bug John about sitting down with me and I go, because I want to talk about running, but also you don't know. Like you don't know what tangent we're going to go on or what connection we're going to make. And I really want to know what happens when you go home and talk to Lydia.
Oh man. Yeah. Well, no, I apologize to Lydia for something like once a week. Once a week, I sit back and reflect, and I just call her, and I'm like, yeah, sorry, babe,
yeah,
because I'm just used to getting my way.
Yeah,
I've spent a lot of my life getting my way. I'm used to getting my way because I work too hard not to.
Yeah, is
what I tell myself. Yeah. But
your side of the story.
That's exactly my side of the story.
All right. Any parting words of wisdom?
Yeah, like I said, live, love, and let the rest of the story be written, man.
I love
That's
it. Cool. Thanks.
Thanks,
Ngoni.
Thank you.